You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned. You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned. You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
To Boya, and the route leading to Limbe is the same thing. As you can see, every place is quiet. You will see any vehicle around, like the one descending in front of me. Is like the man is all leaving his house to see what is happening, but there is no vehicle, there is no bikes. As I talk to you, the route is completely empty. The route is completely empty. We need to observe very well before we can come out from our houses. Please, we need to see how places are. I think this is enough to show us how the day is. And we must be very vigilant before we come out.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft. Draft, for in this paramount task, our draft, lies the power to liberate Ambazonia.
It means that when something is not working, and when you follow the case of the Sako versus Cameroon, where the African Commission said that the Southern Cameroonians are a people, meaning that a people in international law, they have certain rights, they have certain characteristics which must be respected. And let's not forget that The law makes provision for the right to self-determination. Self-determination could be internal or external. It is even in our OAU charter, which was sent to AU. And internal could be a federal structure. External could be the worst case of a secession. When we fear the taboo situation, if you look at the Ethiopian constitution, there's a right to secede in the Ethiopian constitution. We are not there in this country. But when you say that we cannot have a federal structure because we are going for, I'm telling you that sitting here today, it might not be in my lifetime.
Not federal, simple.
It might not. No, excuse me.
La scission du Cameroun.
Excuse me. It might not. It might not be in my lifetime.
La scission du Cameroun, nous refusons.
We shall get a federal structure.
Acceptez-vous la scission du Cameroun?
Because when you don't accept, the federal structure, the day you will come on the table to discuss about federalism, people will say we don't want it any longer. We have a right to self-determination. We have a right. Secession is a right in international law. Let's not, because when we taboonize the word, people are scared. No one is scared. We face it in the eyes, and we should stop to pamper people's ego in this country. It seems as if we have to tell people what they want to hear. No, let us be honest. Let us sit on the table and address issues. With regards to the fact that people are being manipulated, I don't look at me at my age. Look at who I am. Really, who can really manipulate me? The biggest manipulators are people in the system, people in the government, because their stock in trade is to manipulate people and try to buy people over.
That's wrong, very wrong.
If Atanganji says that people have collected monies, okay, Atanganji is putting his character in issue, meaning that we can attack his character, because by dint of that, he's trying to attack some of the characters of the leaders. And Atanganji, with all respect, all of us know him in this country, he doesn't have a moral authority to say some of those things. Let's be honest. That is why he is a minister. We respect him for that. But in terms of giving lectures on morality, he flies in the face of logic. Okay, nobody I know in the movement has received money from anybody. And because we don't face the arguments, I call it a loser's argument. When you cannot defend a position, you start looking. So that's it. That's what Consortium said. We are hoping that they should bring the evidence. When you don't have enough material to defend, you start saying that people are being manipulated. And that is why I said on this table that we have passed this time of the 60s and the 80s, where we always think that they are misguided people that are being influenced. They are not being influenced. Sit down on the table. Things have changed. Sit down on the table.
Good evening, fellow Ambazonians, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to this very important broadcast. This is an exclusive, a special broadcast we're having this day, Monday, the 9th of September, 2024. It's exactly 8 years we started Ghost Town. I'm sure for those of you who have been watching us from the home front via satellite, you've been having enough fun. We made it a duty that we're going to give you films, music, so that as you are locked down, it's going to be a long ride. Not 1 day, not 2 days. You're going to be locked down for at least another 7 days, or should I say 8 days. And it is important. It is for your own good. It is for your protection. There is no interest for anyone to inflict any pain to you. I'm sure you have been watching Agbobala 8 years ago. The video was brought in strategically because we wanted you to watch as we give a backdrop to ask some questions. What happened? Agbobala, what happened? So I have with me in the studio Commander Fombat, Commander Elvis, Barrister Mbeseha. But before we even get into the discussion of tonight, I'd like to ask again, Barrister Agbobala, what happened? Let's hear him again for a few seconds. Just listen to him.
It means that when something is not working, and when you follow the case of the Sako versus Cameroon, where the African Commission said that the Southern Cameroonians are a people, meaning that a people in international law, they have certain rights, they have certain characteristics which must be respected. And let's not forget that the law makes provision for the right to self-determination. Self-determination could be internal or external. It is even in our OAU charter, which was sent to AU. And internal could be a federal structure. External could be the worst case of a secession. When we fear the taboo situation, if you look at the Ethiopian constitution, there's a right to secede in the Ethiopian constitution. We are not there in this country. But when you say that we cannot have a federal structure because we are going for, I'm telling you that sitting here today, it might not be in my lifetime.
Not federal, simple.
It might not. No, excuse me.
La scission du Cameroun.
Excuse me. It might not. It might not be in my lifetime.
La scission du Cameroun, nous refusons.
We shall get a federal structure.
Acceptez-vous la scission du Cameroun?
Because when you don't accept, the federal structure, the day you will come on the table to discuss about federalism, people will say we don't want it any longer. We have a right to self-determination. We have a right. Secession is a right in international law. Let's not, because
I want to cue in from there. The day you will come back to talk about federation, people will say we don't want it anymore. Secession or whatever he calls it is a right in international law, and nobody could have been right more than you at that time, Barrister Agbobala. Brother, I ask again, what happened? At the time Agbobala was speaking, he was the chair of the Cameroon Consortium, a consortium that was made up of civil, or should I say, civil rights organizations, the Teachers Trade Union, and many other trade unions. It was a consortium of those who thought that change would have to take place. You had the Lawyers Association was part of that consortium, and that is how he was chair. At the time, Tassang Wilfred was the vice of that consortium. But a few days later, we realized that the man behind that consortium that had the spirit of the time and the spirit of the people was Tassang. Today is a very important day in history, and we cannot take it for granted. So almost 8 years ago, Tassang Wilfred, who was the chair for the Teachers Trade Union, emerged as a pivotal figure within the Anglophone Consortium, making indelible history. Today, the people of Southern Cameroons continue to religiously observe Monday Ghost Town, underscoring the enduring impact of his leadership and advocacy. This lasting tradition highlights the community's steadfast commitment to their cause and serves as a powerful reminder of the sacrifices and struggles faced in their pursuit of justice and recognition. But how did this all begin? I have a beautiful video here which I want you to look at it. How did it all start? Where was the energy coming from? Let's watch.
Our houses, businesses will not open, taxis, Benz again, nobody will work, schools will not open, parents should not send their kids to school.
It was rumored that the teachers' trade unions have received a bribe, and the consortium took this opportunity to clear the air.
Professor, what's his name again? Gogomo. I want to inform Anglophone Cameroon that Professor Gogomo was a teacher in GTHS Bamenda before he went back to school and got to become a professor, and that he has desecrated professorship, and that he would not address justice, he would not address issues of injustice, shows that he is doing everything to protect his position as a privileged slave in this country. By Monday, we will know whether Yaoundé controls Anglophone Cameroon or we control our country, because they are doling out huge sums of money that people won't be able to go to. The issues that we have raised are community issues, and everybody has an interest. That's why everybody is coming on board, putting their own contributions. After Monday, we will think of what else to do that would bring this government down on its knees, if by Monday we don't see them crawling and creeping.
They ended by calling on Anglophone Cameroonians to await an official press conference.
After Monday, we will devise what we need to do that will bring this country down to its knees. That was Tassang, who was vice for the Anglophone Consortium. Ambazonians, it's been 8 years and counting. And we can audaciously tell the cabal in Yaoundé once again that if they do not pull out their troops, their forces of occupation, which are intruding and taking the lives of innocent civilians in our land, they will soon learn who truly owns Ambazonia. Today, we have initiated a nationwide lockdown that started on Saturday across the entire territory of Ambazonia. The streets, as you would have seen, are unapologetically deserted, from Ekiliwindi to Munyenge, from Abakwa to Egbeko, from Bui to Meme. Everywhere in Ambazonia is under lockdown. So who is in control? Like Tassang said 8 years ago. La République du Cameroon's attempt to falsely convince the international community that normalcy is returning have been decisively, starting today, disproved. The unwavering sacrifices of and commitment of the people of Ambazonia to respect lockdowns and ghost towns are a testament to this reality. Now, before we even begin our conversation, I want us to get again, when we talk about Cameroon's intrusion and invasion of our national territory and the disrespect of human rights. There was an interview, even at the time, that Agbobala, so many would say, had sold out, was detained for about 8 months and released, and had an interview with Mimi Mefo of Equinox Television. And this was what he had to say.
But how would the accountability be when this crisis is highly underreported? Because we have the impression that, like you said, freedom of speech and expression is highly being suppressed. You see what journalists are going through on daily basis. How would there be accountability when the crisis is underreported?
Yeah, this is one of the most underreported crises in the entire world. The human rights violations in Cameroon, in the southwest and northwest, is horrible. It's horrible. The number of people who have been killed, I don't think the international community is aware the extent of the damages that has been done and committed on the people. And yes, because government has something to hide, they don't want journalists to freely report. Reporting now would amount to terrorism, would amount to apology to the terrorists. So at the end of the day, they are trying to cover up what is happening. But we have documented cases that have been reported, cases where government itself had acknowledged the fact that the soldiers committed such violations. But we don't know when they are tried, because the perception of impunity is contributing to the violence in this country. When those who are fighting for the rights of people, those who are fighting for separation, or those who clamored for federation were arrested, the trial was made in public. Sako and others were brought to court the other day. We saw them. They are going to face.
So there should be justice on both
sides. That is it.
That's
so you don't just try
Sako, Ayuktabe, Eyambe, Tassang, and Co, and then you try the others in camera. No. We have to, if there is supposed to be fairness, if there is supposed to be balance, we need to know also that they have been tried. We need to also know that they were taken to the principal prison in Gonengi, or or if they had said, we need to.
So much for us to talk about there. Now the question will go to you, Mimi Mefo. What happened? How could you so soon forget how you got to the spotlight? Young, beautiful girl that you were at the time, freshly graduated from the university, and you were reporting and asking hard questions that all the traditional journalists, the senior journalists we knew in the Cameroons, could not ask. And the people believed in you and stood for you. That's how you got for yourself an international job. Today, the kind of journalism that your blog does is simply unacceptable. Very unfair, inaccurate. You have suddenly forgotten that there are people who stood for you when you were illegally arrested and unfortunately detained at new bail. We all came out aggressively, unwaveringly, massively, and Cameroon knew that you had to be released. You've been granted international protection, and you've forgotten that you have a fight to free the same people who stood for you. But Ambazonia is not relenting, and that is why I have Barrister Fru here and all the commanders who will be telling us the strategy in place we've seen, and every Ambazonian is rejoicing. The Monday goes down today was simply exceptional. You could barely find flies outside, and this is going to go like this every single day. You remember on Saturday we cautioned you that if you would make the error to go out, you'll be wiped out. And we want to appreciate everyone at the Homefront for listening to this wise counsel. If you don't listen to it, you'll be wiped out unapologetically. You will be staking your life to serve the interest of the colonial administration, and you don't want to do that. Let's hear what the president has to say. Right after that, I'll bring the commentator.
There is a civil war ongoing in Cameroon. That civil war is between the Southern Cameroon's people and the government of the Republic of Cameroon. These were two countries that the United Nations, by their resolutions, tried to bring together to form a new country, the Federal Republic of the Cameroons, that La République du Cameroon decided to dissolve unilaterally, unconstitutionally, and rather preferred to annex the people of the Southern Cameroons. And today, there is no longer any Federal Republic that was contemplated when the United Nations forced these two countries to come together. So this is a failed decolonization that has resulted to the annexation of the people of the Southern Cameroons. The UN has never looked into this matter like they have for other conflicts in Asia and Ukraine. No. For the 7 years that this conflict has lasted, 1.5 million people displaced, hundreds of thousands of refugees, more than 500 villages and settlements destroyed, burned to ashes, and more than 50,000 lives have been wasted. These are human beings. We are calling on the good people of Brazil and on the good people of the African diaspora to do everything possible to engineer a peaceful resolution to this bloody conflict. They can do that by engineering a proper mediation of this conflict or refer the matter to the International Court of Justice for arbitration so the two parties can present themselves for a peaceful resolution of this conflict. Thank you very much. I'm the president of the Southern Cameroons. My name is Samuel Sako. Thank you.
So if you were doubting why we opted to lock down the entire territory of our nation in a peaceful protest to send a word to reiterate our stance, I'm sure you would have heard the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, His Excellency Samuel Sako. Barrister Mbeseha, Barrister Commander Fombat, Commander Elvis. Gentlemen, you're welcome, and thank you for respecting this invitation. It was a brief notice, and I appreciate you all for making out time to be with us. Commander Fombat, can you hear me now?
5 on 5. I wonder if you can hear me as well.
I think I can hear you. Your image is not the best, but I think your voice is going to be the essential thing that we will talk, that we will need today. Yes, 8 years ago, I begin with you, Barrister Mbeseha. 8 years ago, the Anglophone Consortium thought that a strategy to bring Cameroon on their knees would be the Monday Ghost House. Would you say that strategy was necessary? And if so be, what, in your perspective, can be the collection of the successes in this strategy? You're welcome.
Thank you, Paddy. Well, he cannot even ask me whether it was the right strategy, because if he asked me that question, I would say it was more than right. I don't know who conceived it, but if I saw that guy and I was drinking beer, I would give him 2 for having conceived this thing. I'm old enough. We never contemplated those sort of things when I was a young man. We never even knew what we could do. But for somebody to sit down and make this plan, that has survived for 8 good years, that has brought the opponent on his knees, begging. Can I say kudos to the people who ever imagine it? And to show my appreciation, if I'm alive, when we get to Boya, I'm sure we'll build a museum, which we'll call it the Museum of Peaceful Resistance, which I'm sure will engrave the names and the pictures of those people who contemplated this thing. Dead or alive, they will feature somewhere in the history of a liberated Ambazonia. They will feature somewhere in the history of liberations around the world. What you can do to succeed, what you can do to defeat a powerful enemy, an enemy with warplanes, an enemy with tanks, an enemy with warships, fighting you with your bare hands. You have at least a voice, you have a command that people can obey. To tell the mighty elephant, though you are so big, you can run over the grass. Elephants don't kill grass, they run over the grass and the grass still survives. So I think it was the best thing that they conceived. It is still the best thing that we're doing today. Kudos to those who thought about it. Kudos to those who are enforcing it right today at the home front. Kudos to those who are supporting it financially and otherwise. Over to you.
We can only but say kudos and kudos and kudos and kudos. I would begin with you, Commander Fombat. You are rarely with us. Maybe Commander Elvis will wait for a few seconds. I want to begin with you. You sent me some images. These are images that are coming in from all across Ambazonia, and it's quite interesting the way the entire nation of Ambazonia, even where people thought that there could be no lockdown, even in the Atlantic zone, in Victoria, in Meme, where we feel that Cameroon has heavy military presence. They were unable to protect or to convince a single civilian, to go out today. That's quite interesting. Just give me the temperature that's coming from the ground, from your angle, based on what you know and your catchment as a commander. Commander Fombat, can you hear me? Okay, Commander Fombat is frozen. Elvis, can you hear me? You're muted. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I'm sorry.
Good, please
I
talk
thought
to
I
us.
was on mute. Can you
Yes,
hear me
please talk
now?
to us. Talk to us while I try to reach Fombat.
Okay. Can you rephrase your question again, please?
Now, you are among those who are working closely with the state army and all the stakeholders to ensure that we are able to enforce this lockdown. So I'm asking you, just give us some updates. What do you have aside from the images we're having? What do you have to tell us?
Okay. First of all, I want to greet my elderly statesman in the house, Mbeseha. Cafe Day. I want to also greet Commander Fombat. I respect him for all his service and sacrifice. Matter of fact, all of you guys, for our great nation. Um, I see Commander Fombat might be on. I don't know if you want to go back and give him the opportunity to go ahead with that question before I jump in. Otherwise, I can as well go ahead if that's okay. I know he was privileged to speak, but for some reason his connections were not the best. Should
No,
I
just go ahead.
proceed?
Go ahead. Just go ahead. When you're done, he's going to come and tell us what is happening in the Atlantic and what we should be expecting the days ahead. What are the contingency plans that have been put in place? He'll be talking on that shortly, but just go ahead so we can save some time. We have a couple of topics to tackle. Just go right ahead.
Okay. Uh, Thank you again, Commander Padi, for that question. As you know, the lockdown is very symbolic in the sense that this is something that the entire population of Ambazonia is respecting. Just like our senior barrister said, it has inflicted tremendous cost on the Republic. It has made them pay the price and continue to make them pay the price on a daily basis. One surprising fact, Comrade Paddy, is that La Republique terrorists that are deployed to Ambazonia, they actually enforce these ghost towns. They enjoy them to the fact that they want some peace. They're tired of fighting. So sometimes they're the ones to, tell people to stay at home. It speaks to us the fact that we have actually sent a clear message to La Republique that we are capable of determining what happens in our territory at any given time, that we are in control of our territory. It makes them think twice. Yes, we do have some, let me call them stubborn areas in Ambazonia where we did not have full control, where the lockdown to a certain degree has not been respected. That happens in every revolution. We do not expect that the fighting should also take place in every county or LGA. Fighting could happen in very strategic locations where the terrain could be a favorable factor on our side. There are other areas where the terrain is not in our favor. We would not take our forces to engage in such areas. So we actually, use our strength where our strength can produce results, and that is what guerrilla tactic is all about. To that extent, we have been able to implement a lot ghost towns nationwide to a greater extent. If we say 80-90%, that is a success rate for us. We are able to call lockdowns like you just see the one that started on the 7th. That is successful throughout Ambazonia. We do have an Ambazonia State Army that are actually enforcing these lockdowns in ghost towns, such that any violators are severely punished. These are symbolic events to our nation, and for the greater benefit of Ambazonia as we go towards independence, this day is going to go down the history book as a day of defiance. A day when the Ambazonia people always stood up to dedicate their services to other activities to build our nation, maybe to get together with their families, break bread, and also send a clear signal to the enemy that we would never ever be a part of them. So for that, we want to also congratulate the people of Ambazonia. This is a great sacrifice. They do also have a lot of losses financially that they incur, and for that we always plead on our brothers, those in the diaspora, especially that they could also use this particular day as a day of some symbolic gesture. Saving a dollar or sending a dollar to a loved one back home will go a long way to help. So while the people back at home are sacrificing, we in the diaspora could definitely do more in this particular day of symbolism to help alleviate the situation that our people are going through. So thank you again, Patty, and those who basically how I see this these days turning out.
Yeah, Commander Fombat, I'm happy that you've been able to connect. I know you've been facing some challenges. The good thing is we can hear you and you can hear us now. It is so interesting, Commander Fombat, for us to see that from the Atlantic, we've seen images coming from Boya, from Meme, other reports showing the entire place locked down. We understand very well Cameroon's military influence in this part, and we know that you particularly have done a lot of work on the ground to ensure that there is enforcement on this lockdown. What are the contingencies that you would have probably put in place, and what should Ambazonians be expecting? How do you feel today? I guess proud of the situation. Please talk to us.
Yeah, thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very loud and clear, please.
Okay, thank you. I think Ambazonians are very, very happy today because of the 100% lockdown, not only in Fako, not only in the Atlantic region, but across the entire territory. I think before I commence, before I proceed, I want to say kudos to the chairman of the ANSC who is right there on board. I want to also greet our senior comrade barrister team who is always regular here to educate our people and sensitize them and give them a way forward on where we are heading and what we expect to do. So we have seen this lockdown. This lockdown is, we are not in any way trying to challenge or trying to inflict pain on our people like the Black Legs and the One Cameroon apologies. We want to make people feel that that is the intention of the lockdown. Lockdowns and ghost towns are civil disobedience. It is a symbol to say we are two different countries and we no longer take any rubbish orders from La République du Cameroon across the Mungo. We are self-governing. we have our institutions, we have a government, and we will live by the rules and the regulations that govern this struggle. So that is one of the most symbolic, or one of the most important aspects when we talk about ghost town or lockdown. And secondly, we are in another way inflicting pain on the economy of La Republic of Cameroon. Nobody should deceive you that, oh, you are inflicting pain on your economy. We don't even control. How many percent of the economy do we control? Our mothers and our fathers are self-sufficient. Our children don't even have those jobs that will go to the office. All those government offices are controlled and colonized and led by Francophones, French Cameroon citizens in our territory. We don't have any offices that we want to man and say, oh, if I don't go to my office today, something will happen. We are self-sufficient. We have cocoa yams, we have plantains, we have yams, we have cocoa, we have cassavas in the farms. We have been harvesting them for as long as since 1960, and we have been surviving. So we are trying to inflict pain, shipwreck the economy of La Republic of Cameroon. The thieves that have been stealing our resources. So this ghost town and these lockdowns, those are the main purposes of this ghost town and lockdown. Nobody and no one should say otherwise or try to deceive our people to make them believe that it is pain on them. It is not pain. It is a joint struggle. We are all in this together. Remember, we all have relatives in this part of Ambazonia. We all have people living there. We cannot, out of a blue, decide to inflict pain on our own people. Then we are not in a struggle, or we don't like our people. Our people should understand that when they say a ghost town or a lockdown, we mean that everyone must respect the laws of the land. If you are a Francophone, if you are a La Republic citizen living in any part in Ambazonia, it is best for your own sanity that you just sink and respect the rules of the land. Talk less of our own citizens. You look at the streets of Sako, empty today. We expect the streets, the markets, and all the bars, all the shops to be sealed until the lockdown is over. Because let our people take it today that something must happen. And we don't pray anyone to be victim. Don't be a victim. Don't. We have lost more than enough. We don't want to lose anymore. So this ghost town, this lockdowns implies that all citizens within Ambazonia talk less of Buya, because Buya has been notorious violators of our ghost towns and our lockdowns. This time around, a word to a wise is enough. Thank you.
You know, I'm excited to hear from you, and I'm going to come to you on this. I am very excited, Commander Fombat, that you will have to send this kind of a strong message in the Federal Capital Territory to our people. But before I get back to you, let me talk a little bit to Barrister Mbeseha. Barrister Mbeseha, this is all about a cut of control. This is all about somebody trying to control, which I think is something that is very important. It's all about control. And we had Dikin Tassang 8 years ago telling Yaoundé that by Monday, you will know who owns our land. I guess this is the same spirit we're having today. How instrumental is the show of control, the proof that we have some level of control and that Bia is not controlling? How important is that in our efforts in our diplomatic efforts? You understand the dynamics better than anyone on this platform.
Well, if Bia is controlling anything, he's controlling it with his use of arms. He's not controlling it because people obey what he says voluntarily. But above all, the most important thing is we're dealing with this lockdown September 9th, 2024. This September 9th, 2024, it is very important because it is a Monday, but it's also the beginning of a school year. That has been discussed for 2 weeks today. What you and me say is not very important because we know our positions. It is addressed to the people who have lied to themselves and to the international community that they have some control over Ambazonians when it comes to this liberation struggle. That's just a fact. And let me illustrate it with this. All Ambazonians, the majority of people there are Christians. Christians fall in different faiths: Presbyterians, Baptists, Protestants, and Catholics. By my own assessment, I think I'm right. The largest block of Christians that are in Ambazonia are Catholics. They are Catholics. And this is important because the Catholic Church has tried to wade into this thing. In goes down, go to school on Monday 9th and start the school because nothing is wrong. Just go. But this is important for them to know. This is a message from the grassroots. When we hear a message from the Catholic Church, when we hear a certain Archbishop Andrew, it's not very important. Look at, I know what the church is in Ambazonia. Archbishop Andrew lives in Bamenda. He owns a diocese called the Diocese of Bamenda. Forget about his title called Archbishop. The whole of Ambazonia is covered with 5 dioceses. One is in Kumbo Banso, one is in Bamenda, one is in Mamfe, one is in Kumba, and another one is in Buya. And I've seen the images from Kumba, from Buya, from Bamenda, where Andrew lives himself, where there's total lockdown, where no child has gone to school, at least today, 9th of September 2024. And so, can the Vatican ambassador in Yaoundé, who lives far away in Yaoundé, can he believe in what Andrew tells him? If he also has to ask from the Bishop of Kumba, from the Bishop of Mamfe, from the Bishop of Bansa of Nso Kumbo, he will know they are lying if they ever told him anything different from what we see today. The rest, I leave it there. Mr. Paul Biya knows that he knows this thing. He has his people in Bamenda. He has Lele Afrique. Unless he's going to invent his own crowd going to school or violating goes down. He will tell him. He has his currently in Minnesota in Kumba, Chumbo Tamboran, whatever they call him, he called the student prefect. I saw him himself. He went around today to see where the schools are operating. One day there was nobody. So they will report this thing directly themselves to Paul Biya. They will just remind him because he knows that they have been lying to him. But this message is not for us. This lockdown is no longer a message to Ambazonians. No. They may complain, but it's a message to the world that we are determined. It is a message to the world to remind us what Agwambala was saying there in that segment you produced there. Agwambala invented nothing. That was not his opinion. Agwambala said the African Commission ruled that Kole Anglophones or Ambazonia are a people with the right to self-determination. We, the people, the faith in that judgment, are a people with the right to determine ourselves. That's what they call self-determination, what we want to be. Forget about your federalism or whatever thing. We will decide it ourselves. Yaoundé will no longer impose our law. That's not longer Yaoundé's wish. It is international law. The Banjul case, which Agwembala was referring to, is Communication 266. It was passed in 2009. They argue that, look, these people may complain, they are nobody. They are just people like Bamileke guys, like Garawa guys. And they lost it. Because look, this is entitled people with the right to self-determination. It's not a privilege, it's a right. And so we will have that right as defined by international law. To our brothers and sisters who are complaining, it's just normal. They feel the pain, they feel the hunger. So they might have been sick today or not go to the hospital. That's normal, they will feel that pain. But there's no enjoyment without suffering. Before you go to harvest plantains, cocoyams to eat, you suffer first and foremost in planting. You have mosquitoes who bite you there. You have nails choking you on your food. Some of you will even die in the road. But at the end of the day, when the harvest comes, you are selling a kilogram of cocoa for 5,000 francs. You are selling a bunch of plantain for 10,000. That will wipe all your tears. Again, today is symbolic, very, very symbolic, in the sense that it has come at the beginning of a whole week, 2 weeks, a month of discussions, whether we are in control. And I think the evidence is glaringly there. As
I'm very happy. I'm happy that you would have given clarity to the strategy with us locking down to send a message. The government actually would want to enforce lockdown just to send a message to the international community and to the UN General Assembly, which is something we're going to come back. We're actually going to talk a little bit more on the school resumption, the position of the Catholic Church in Cameroon, in the Cameroons, Nkias and the others, and whatever they have to say, and what the government of Ambazonia is saying. But let me come back to you, Commander Elvis. What would you tell us about enforcement on the ground as far as the lockdown is concerned?
Oh, thank you again, Commander Pradeep, for that question. As you know, we are the military wing of this government, and we are here as part of those that are carrying out orders that are called to effect. By so, I'm talking about the ANSC, which is the Ambazonia National Self-Defense Council. The Ambazonia National Self-Defense Council consists of commanders from all 13 counties and their assistants. These commanders form the core of the coordination team that works hand in glove with the commanders on the ground in the various areas of jurisdiction. Those in various areas that fall under the chain of command, and that authority goes all the way from top to bottom and descends likewise from bottom to top. In that regard, when orders are passed, it is the function of the ANSC to make sure that the commanders are fully briefed on these orders, that they take recommendation from the commanders, that the commanders on the ground have what it takes to make sure that these laws are actually implemented in total. Before the lockdown was called, we did consult with those on the ground, make sure that they also informed the civilian population to stock food, to make sure that they were not planning any trips within this time frame, and to make sure that they had enough that would take them through these 10 days lockdown. Today is already day 3 of the lockdown. We have 7 more days to go, and we are all already seeing great success in all areas of Ambazonia. We are grateful for the Ambazonia State's Army that have actually sent out this information. We are also grateful for ABC for the education and the outreach to our communities and to our various counties. Those involved in making sure that orders have been sent. Our chief communicators for Ambazonia State Army, they have passed the message to make sure that the community is informed. So we all prepare, as they've already said. This is a community event. That means everybody's involved in this, making sure that the lockdown is a success. And we have seen that everybody has adhered to a greater extent to these lockdown orders. So we want to commend the Ambazonian State Army, who have been very professional in making sure that they also follow, these orders by adhering to their code of conduct. There have not been, any incidents so far of any violators. We had maybe some areas like the Nkambe, where we anticipate that the stubborn fly would always come out. But until, we send them a clear message, they would understand that for every violator, there is an equal but opposite reaction that awaits them, which we would respond due and timely considerations. So we are calling on our Ambazonian State Army to continue to reinforce these orders, these lockdown orders. And once the lockdown is over, we call them to stand down, to allow our people to go about their daily business and to continue to keep their guards high. This period does not entail for any Ambazonian State Army to be dormant. They have to remain vigilant. Our civilian population understand their role in this revolution. They continue and they remain our #1 line of defense. As we always say, you see something, you say something. The community has a great task in this revolution, and we want to commend them for always being the ears and the eyes of our Ambazonian State Army. They should continue in that symbiotic relationship, making sure that anything they say, any movement that they find the enemy doing, they should report it to the nearest Ambazonian State Army for action. So we commend all Ambazonians for the great service that they're having for our nation, and we look forward to greater cooperation going forward. The days ahead will not be easy for La Republic. We are confident in the spirit of the Ambazonian State Army. We're confident in the spirit of our Ambazonian civilians. And come October 1, after the lockdown, we're going to see great pictures again, once more, reaffirming our faith in our people and our people's faith in our structures and our nation. And that we can't wait to see 1st October. So come the party, our ASAs are ready to implement, as always, when these orders are given. Thank you.
Amazing. Commander Fombat, please may I add to that before we move into something else?
Yeah, I think the chairman has spoken. I wouldn't have said any more better. The only thing I will add is our people are always and have been showing their collaboration all through since 2016, up to date and counting. Remember, we all remember this struggle was born on the ground. We saw our people out with a peace plan when La Republique started using a helicopter gunship to massacre our people, and up to then, the ghost town it was ignited by the president of the consortium, Comrade Tassang, who is now languishing in Kundengi. This is to show that our people our people, they love the struggle. The struggle is part and parcel of them. If they say ghost town, we don't even need to go out there to enforce the ghost town. Just announce them. But in some other part, we have to enforce it because we have black legs. We have people who have been bribed by La Republique. Their consciences have been bought. And so they will want to do everything to satisfy their masters. They want to do everything to pay for what they have already eaten. So that is why you see sometimes we need to enforce this ghost town so that those who have taken money is either they become victims or they know that you cannot eat your cake and have it back. So it is a struggle for all of us. Just like the chairman said, the Ambazonian State Army will continue to enforce. And just like I said, and I will repeat, I am really, really pleading to our people that let the conscience of those who have died, let them have some conscience and think of those who have died, and think of those who are languishing in jail, and think of our parents or our children who are unable to go to school. Think of those our young girls and young boys who are frustrated, and some are being raped in La Republique du Cameroon because they are looking for survival. They are looking for where to survive. Think of the refugees, the thousands, why not millions, who are running across the desert, who are in Nigeria as refugees, crawling on their bellies, unable to have a meal a day. So this thing is, we are all in together. We are not imposing, we are not dictating the pace, but at some point there is no revolution without dictators. So we hate to be seen as people who want to force everything that it must happen like this. We want to collaborate so that all of us will get to Boya in one piece. Thank you very much.
So, my fellow Ambazonians, ladies and gentlemen, you can hear from all the commanders, collaboration, 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 and collaboration. And that's the key. We are hoping that as you dare to collaborate, you will be giving your own contribution to make sure that our freedom and autonomy, or should I say sovereignty, is asserted. And this takes us to something. There's been controversies around school resumption, who says what and how and so forth. But before we even begin that discussion, I'd like us to watch a video from someone of the Catholic Church in the Cameroons. And right after that, we'll have a discussion.
Peace and greetings from the Apostolic Nunciature. I am the Apostolic Nuncio in Cameroon, Pope Francis's representative amongst you. Cameroon has become my home and my passion. A temporary exhibit here features Cameroonian children's wishes for peace. This photographic exhibition was produced by the Piarist Fathers with photographer Emily Pina. One child, by the name of Peter, even says, "Living in peace feels good, just to wake up and go to school without fear." He was prevented from going to school because of violence. Our children are our future. Children suffer the most when there is violence. According to UNESCO, over 250 million children worldwide are prevented from attending school because of conflicts and violence. According to the World Bank, over 17,500 children in Cameroon are prevented from attending school, primarily in the regions of the Northwest, Southwest, and far north. Millions of children's futures are destroyed. Violence is never justified. Violence comes from evil. peace, and only peace, comes from God. Violence is not justified, not on Sundays, not on Mondays, or any other day of the week. This month of September, let us not prevent children from going to school. Let us free the children. Let us allow the children to build the future. I add my voice to countless Cameroonians from all walks of life, from north to south, from east to west, not least the voices of the Catholic bishops of Cameroon, who work tirelessly to build the future. Nelson Mandela once said, educating all of our children must be one of our most urgent priorities. We all know that educating, more than anything else, improves our chances of building better lives. Pope Francis reminds us that the mission of schools and teachers is to develop an understanding of all that is true, good, and beautiful. Dear friends, violence is never justified. Only peace is the way of the future. This month of September, please let the children attend school, and together let us work for peace. Thank you. God bless.
You know, it is so ridiculous how history, eschatology, I happen to have done eschatology in Love War School of Ministries, how eschatology has it, and even in the modern day church, how particularly the Roman Catholic Church has opted to be an architect of criminality and fraud globally. It is really unfortunate to see how a priest would stand to talk about peace and strategically ignore justice. If the Catholic Church would have taken upon themselves to create such speeches to talk on the government of Yaoundé for the purpose of justice, I believe changes would have taken place. But apparently it would appear that Kia and others are towing the exact same line, pretending to seek peace without justice. Not even in Bible days did God condone peace without justice. I don't know where to begin with this, but I will begin with you, Barrister Mbeseha. How effective is it for the church, the body of Christ, to pretentiously talk about peace without justice? That is even before we get into the government's communique, which I'm going to showcase. This is something we've processed a couple of times, and it's so shocking to see the hypocrisy of the church in the Cameroons. It's scandalous. Please talk to us.
Well, now, when we talk about the church, whatever church it is, you remember that what we call Cameroon today, it doesn't include Ambazonia. It's a place of about close to 30 million people. The church is not sitting in a particular house somewhere in Yaoundé or somewhere in Kumba. If the apostolic nuncio, who is also called the ambassador of the Vatican is a country, observer member of the United Nations. If he speaks that way, it means he has the wrong information. He actually has the wrong information from the field. The Catholic Church is not found only in Yaoundé. I'm just dealing with the Catholic Church because that guy is a Catholic. He's speaking for the Catholic Church. And he has cited the bishops of Cameroon. In other words, he's taking the cue from the bishops who are supposed to be his subjects. But what he will
Yeah.
not tell us, what he doesn't know, is that the bishops, if they told him anything, there is so much misinformation given to him. Let me take from the bishops in Cameroon. The bishops in Cameroon, as a bloc, stopped dealing with this issue of Ambazonia in 2019. As a bloc, they stopped and
Yeah.
handed over that mantle to a certain Archbishop Andrew Nkia of Bamenda
Yeah.
publicly. Because in 2019, I remember, the president of the Episcopal Council that groups all the bishops in Cameroon, they held a meeting and they gave a press conference. The president of that Episcopal Council was Archbishop Cleda of Douala. I was speaking for all the bishops. He said that they had requested a meeting with President Paul Biya to discuss this issue, and Paul Biya had turned them down. Why he was saying this? Why he was still saying this when Archbishop Andrew Nkia stepped in and said, "Well, you know, because he's supposed to be the leader of the 5 bishops in Ambazonia." So he took away the total missionary of bishops in Cameroon and asserted that constituency for himself publicly. I was in that conference. The apostle pronunciation should know this. So it's not properly fed. He's getting information from a certain Archbishop Nkia. We'll come to the address that, but I'm just trying to show that he's got the wrong information. The second point that I would, at this moment, point that he's getting the wrong information is he quotes Nelson Mandela. What did Nelson Mandela say? Nelson Mandela said the education of children is our priority. Yes, he said that, but the Archbishop, ambassador, has forgotten the context in which he said this. Nelson Mandela had spent 27 years in prison in Robben Island. That speech was not made from Robben Island. What Nelson Mandela said was after 1992, when apartheid ended, he went to prison for apartheid. When he got out of from prison after 27 years and became the president of South Africa, he was making this statement in the context of going forward that ended what took him to prison for 27 years, apartheid, that fought apartheid. He himself was a lawyer. He remained in prison for 27 years. He didn't call from prison that the apartheid regime should give the black children schools. He never did that. Once apartheid ended, Nelson Mandela came out of prison in 1992 and became the president of South Africa. He now put out that statement, which was right, because there were blacks going to school in South Africa at the time of apartheid, but was inferior, was not the same education that the whites received. So now, apartheid having ended, Nelson Mandela puts out that statement, going forward, the education of our children is our priority. So the pronunciation was quoting that thing out of context, just misleading people. By their own standard, they are not doing what Nelson Mandela did, because Nelson Mandela fought for 27 years until apartheid ended. They went to the root causes of why the children were not receiving proper education. It was apartheid. They ended it first and then said, going forward, this is what our priority. In other words, they addressed the root causes of the inferior or the poor quality of education that the blacks were being given in South Africa. What was the root cause? Apartheid. They ended apartheid first. Then Nelson Mandela, the first black president, said, well, now this one has ended. Our priority now is to educate our own children. That's the context in which he spoke, which I'm sure somebody misled the honorable ambassador to give that quotation. Somebody misled him also to think that all Cameroon bishops stood with what he was saying. Because as I tried to say it in the last segment, would that be the same language from the Bishop of Kumbo? I doubt. Because Bishop of Kumbo has lived it. We have told the story of Ngarabu. Ngarabu is in Kambe. Kambe is under the Diocese of Kumbu. Would that be the same story told by the Bishop of Bamenda if he's honest? Knowing what has happened to people in Batibo, in Guzang, and all those places that fall under the Diocese of Bamenda. If you do that, you're lying. The Diocese of Bamenda includes all those places where the crisis have occurred. Burning of houses in Bamenda, killing of people and bringing them in trucks and dumping them like animals. That is the Diocese of Bamenda. Last we were talking about Aziri and so on and so forth. Would an honest Bishop of Bamenda say that it's time to return to normalcy, given what has happened just in Bamenda in his own diocese, not archdiocese? Would the same information come from the Bishop of Manfe? Let me land. Would that same information come from the Bishop of Manfe, where this war started in Kembang, where Akwaya is part of Manfe, where 3/4 of Akwaya is now in Nigeria as refugees? Would the same information come from the Bishop of Kumba, where Kwakwa will talk about is in the Diocese of Kumba? Condemnation is in the Diocese of Kumba. Would that same thing come from the Bishop of Boya, where a corner that will all know is that Mautu is all? That is a Kata Monyenge, where they even kidnap priests. These are the priests of the Bishop of the Diocese of Boya. So I think these people are misled to go out and issue statements for which they cannot defend. They are not responsible. They are just ignorant. They are being misled by somebody else. Someone else.
But that's Cameroon. That's Cameroon actively doing that. I understand, Commander Fombat, that you have a pressing issue to attend to. So I want to give you an opportunity before we even get into the government's press release in reaction to this. I want to give you an opportunity to speak to us real quickly, Commander Fombat. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. You know, some of these people with ropes moving around, they are just there to deceive people, deceive us, deceive our gullible parents, buy some sympathy, speak empathy, and look like they are so pathetic. And but these are people who have the capacity and have the capability to end this war. Rome has the capability to end this war. Pope John Paul or Pope John Francis, how many times has he given Paul Biya communion on his lips personally? And you see this I'm just tempted to call them charlatans. Come and stand here talking of schools. He lives in Yaoundé with the Atanganjis and the Ngongos and these people who are these genocidaires, these people who are so active in killing, raping, kidnapping of our people. He has not said, oh, stop the war, stop this, it is not right. He has not come out to condemn it. He's coming out to tell, oh, children should go to school. In what atmosphere? So anybody who is taking this type of people for some seriousness, it's a joke. They are just clowns to me. When I listen to some of what he's saying, it sounds to me like more of a clown. He's not serious. He's trying to please the regime in power. Say, we are adding our voices because we want our children to go to school. He has been, I don't know, will I say he has been bribed or he has taken something from the regime and he's just being their spokesperson. So we should some of this type of thing we just discard it on one side. We keep doing what we are doing. Until there are no terrorist soldiers on our streets, until these people have gone back to Yaoundé and Douala. Because if these soldiers go back to Yaoundé and Douala, we will have nobody to fight. Government offices are dissolved. All their governors and DOs and whatsoever, they go back to Douala and Yaoundé. We will have nobody to fight. And let's see how our children will not go to school. Rome is capable to initiate a negotiated settlement and say, Paul Biya, President Sako, get your team, Paul Biya, get your team and need the people in this, they will come. But they don't want to do it. You know why? Because they enjoy the blood that is flowing in Ambazonia. I want to believe that they are making money out of it. Thank you very much. I plead to leave you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, we understand that the situation, Commander Fombat, is quite pathetic, and I just want to say that I appreciate you for spending this time with us, Commander Elvis. I understand that you would want to react to this, but there's something by Mbeseha. The government has officially responded, and I think that that is something of great importance. It's something I want us to look into government's response on this issue before we even make further commentaries. You see, Dr. Mungwa would have actually done. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I do.
Good, good. So this is government's response, which I think it's quite important for us to take into consideration, and let's examine what the government would have said there, and look at the technicalities involved, because it's important for us to look at it. And this is not just another talk that is being made. So the press release of today, Monday, reference the commit, and from the office of the Secretary of State for Communications and IT. So Ambazonia government response to Catholic Church's stance on school resumption in conflict-ridden southern Cameroons, the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. So this is what came out to us in the press today. The government of the former British Southern Cameroons, Federal Republic of Ambazonia, has taken note of the recent comments made by the Honorable Vatican Ambassador to Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea, and the Most Reverend Archbishop Andrew Nkia of the Catholic Diocese of Bamenda. The position taken by these senior officials of the Catholic Church is disappointing, and as it appears, they prioritize education over security and safety of children in a war zone. While we acknowledge the undeniable importance of education in a child's development, we assert that education cannot and should not take precedence over the safety and well-being of the very children it seeks to serve. We concur with the Vatican Ambassador, Archbishop Jose Evelano Bettercott, that education should be a priority. However, in the context of an active war, such as the conflict affecting the so-called Anglophone regions of Northwest and Southwest, that's Ambazonia, the safety of children and their parents must come first. The principle in the foundation of the Ambazonian government stands since 2019, which has consistently maintained that parents should decide when to send their children to school based on their assessment of sufficient security guarantees. In contrast, we must respectfully disagree with Archbishop Andrew Nkia of Bamenda, whose actions have been both controversial and problematic. Bishop Nkia has taken it upon himself to impose his solutions for resolving the crisis. It should be recalled that he participated in the 2019 Grand National Dialogue as an invited guest of the Yaoundé regime, not as a representative of any Ambazonian independence movement. Despite this, he collaborated with Yaoundé government and advocated for a position suggesting that the people of Northwest and Southwest Cameroon could not live together in harmony. Now, this is my own comment in parenthesis. What a fraudulent stand. Now, further, in 2019, Archbishop Nkia bypassed the then president of the National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon, Archbishop Samuel Nkiata, claiming in a video that although the presidency had not granted audience to the entire Episcopal Council, he was personally handling the situation with the presidency. This undermined the authority of Archbishop Kiata and the Episcopal Council. And since then, Archbishop Nkia has consistently propagated false narrative of normalcy, preaching peace without justice. Most recently, Archbishop Nkia issued an audio message urging parents to send their children to school without fear. This is despite the fact that as a resident of Bamenda, he is well aware of the military forces, or aware that military forces have taken control of classrooms in Azeri Bamenda. Furthermore, many classrooms in Ambazonia have now been transformed into military bases and makeshift dormitories for the military, targeting the community. Can anyone genuinely believe that such an environment is conducive to education? We remind both His Excellency the Vatican Ambassador and Archbishop Nkia that the Catholic Church should uphold the universally accepted and morally binding doctrine of justice and peace, not peace without justice. Peace without justice is merely a deferral of the problem, guaranteeing its recurrence in the future. Long live the people of Ambazonia. Signed by Martin Mungwa, PhD, FASCE. And this is what we have on our table this evening. Hopefully, Ambazonians heard government's reaction to this charade by the Catholic Church in the Cameroons. And I will give the mic to you, Elvis, before we come to Barrister Mbeseha. What do you think? And how are you people tackling a similar situation, if there be any, in Bui County? Talk to us, please.
Oh, thank you, Comrade Party, again, for giving me that opportunity to respond to this great question. Again, as already articulated by the Secretary of Communications there, the sanctity of life is important for us. We do not want a situation where we would lose any life or any soul in Ambazonia. We had sent out the lockdown for very strategic reasons. Remember the last time I was on your show, before the lockdown started, I informed the public that we had, for operational reasons, intelligence which we could not make public. Of course, now I can make public because we have already seen that La Republique had stationed their troops in downtown Bamenda in a lot of schools, anticipating rape and extortion from our communities. In Bamenda, we have reports now that up to 300 civilians have been arrested. And for each of those 300 civilians, they're demanding a ransom of 50,000 francs each from each person. You know, we had this intelligence and we had to institute that lockdown to make sure that our people do not fall prey to these La Republique traps. So we could not guarantee the safety of our civilians. And the sanctity of life, again, to us is important. As such, we would take that sanctity of life at any time compared to sending our child to school and we never see them
Now,
again.
let me bring you back a little bit, Commander Elvis. You're saying that based on intelligence on the ground or data collected, the government of Ambazonia, in collaboration with your jurisdiction, that's the ANSC, would have to, one of the reasons to declare the lockdown will be to protect the people from fraudsters, kidnappers, those who are taking advantage of the situation to monetize their personal interests by taking off ransom. Am I correct?
Correct.
So this is quite important. And for all of those who are watching this program at the home front right now, the government of Ambazonia has zero interest in inflicting pain on you. Every decision made by the government under the leadership of President Sako always looks at the big picture. The bigger picture of it is you have proxies of Cameroon, bandits and armed groups that are purporting themselves as part of our freedom fight military to extort from you. And if you would just respect government orders, you will not be victim of this unfortunate situation. Please, Commander Elvis, go right ahead. I just thought that we needed to have put a spotlight on that because it's very important. Please talk to us.
Thank you, Comrade Party. Again, when I said operational security reasons, we cannot divulge some of this information public because we wanted to make sure that our civilians were properly informed so they can avoid these places. If they had moved elsewhere, we might not have been able to track them. But we're thankful that we avoided a lot of other places that we could have seen high numbers of kidnappings. As of now, the numbers we have recorded in Mbeseha alone stands at more than 300. So we are thankful that those that obeyed the orders did not fall into this trap. Also, we are not against schools going on. That is a fallacy. And I appreciate the statement that is out there. We have said we cannot guarantee the safety of our civilians in a war situation. In areas where we have control, we have instituted community colleges, community schools, say the least, where our civilians can learn vocational technical trainings. They can do those, and that is actually learning. It's something that they can apply in real life. How many of our civilians are out there with degrees and they don't even have a job to do? Vocational technical training could just be the way to go. So we are encouraging our communities in safe areas where they can learn either to become a mechanic, they can learn trade, they can learn carpentry, all these vocational technical trainings that will keep them going and make some money on the side. Again, you know, there are some other reasons why we can stand here and say we don't want Ambazonia to fall back. We know that education is not only in the classroom. You know, you can get education in various aspects. But for now, if we know that the environment is not safe, we would be damned to try to push our civilians to go to their early graves. And for those parents that have ears, especially parents with their girls, know that their girls are preyed, they are being targeted by these little big thugs that are actually stationed in these schools, in these boarding schools. So you send your kid to school and they're being raped in school for the simple fact that they are Ambazonians. That is a total no-no. It is really embarrassing to see a man of God of high caliber come out and talk about school resumption without actually looking at the justice that the people of Ambazonia deserve. We would have hoped that he would talk to the regime in Yaoundé that has been instituting this pain and suffering on our people. And you could clearly see that they do not have the moral authority to look at the devil in the face and tell them what they are doing wrong. Rather, they would come and try to preach to us. the victims. We are just a victim. And I'm sorry, his message was not. I mean, he might have crafted the message for some other people, but their message is not properly received by us. We have never discouraged education in any shape, or form. We've encouraged education, to say the least, but we value our sanctity of life, and for that, we make sure that our people are safe. Thank you.
By Mbeseha, you probably would have read this communique by Dr. Mungwa. You know the government stance. What do you think about this response? And what in your mind do you think we hope to achieve by this calculation? Please talk to us.
Thank you. I've read the communique. I've read it several times over since it came out last night. And I think it is the right thing to have been done. It has been done. I looked at every single sentence in that communique. It carries a lot of weight, religiously and politically. And so, you remember that in the last segment, I was talking about the Vatican ambassador. And I tried to address part of what he said in this communique about him. But after that, you look at what the communique says. Before I give my own opinion about the whole thing, I want us to look at it this way. The Ambazonian dispute, whatever thing we're fighting for with the Republic of Cameroon, is not a religious war. It is a political dispute. It must be solved politically. And so if any religious officials, be them bishops, pastors, decide to get into it, they are wearing their political caps on top of their religious robes. And therefore, once you get into the political arena with your religious robes, be very prepared to face the arguments, to face the challenges of what you do or say. And so that's the context in which I want to look at it. Because, I've said, for example, this is the Catholic Church, but also have represented how many other churches. This main function of the church, anywhere, call it Baptist, Presbyterian, even the Muslim church, is moral. It's a moral church. They teach morality. The laws are all there. They teach morality. If all these religious organizations in Cameroon there, from Baptist to Muslim to anything to Catholics, if they had even the outer of what their duty is about, which is teaching morality, they would have engaged this government many years back on a different issue. This government we have on there, that does not recognize any religious certificates of morality, which is the background of every society. They disregard it. That's why they are called a satanic government. I've not seen the Catholics, the Baptists, the Presbyterians, the Muslims challenge the government for disregarding morality. They have not done that. They have simply abandoned that. And then when the Ambazonia issue comes, which is purely a political issue, they are free to be there because they are also citizens. They have their political views. But what we are saying is that they should not cover their political opinion, try to propagate their political opinion with their religious robes on them. That is a contradiction to the thing. Because to the best of my knowledge, as far as the Catholic Church is concerned, we have seen so many bishops and other individuals, popes, canonized. What does it mean, canonized? They assume that you're in heaven. No bishop canonized or religious authority has ever been canonized for doing political work. They are canonized for some moral thing that they did. Mother Teresa, Pope John Paul XII, John Paul II, sorry. They canonize them for their moral business, not for the religious, not for the political views they take. And so that would take me to that statement, which refers essentially, most of it refers to Archbishop Andrew and makes certain things that he said that transformed him from a religious leader into a political actor. Politics is a game of interest. If he's doing something political, he has an interest. A political interest. His interest is not religious. That is clear. His interest is not religious. Because if his interest was moral, he would not just alter things that he has done. Because he's not the first archbishop. Neither is he the first bishop even before and during this crisis. Before him was the Cardinal Tumi, who did all what we know. And among the things he said, sit down and discuss. Put everything on the table. Even if it's secession, these people have the right to secede. That's Cardinal Tumi. He was an archbishop before becoming a cardinal. An archbishop in Cameroon. He too was at the Grand National Dialogue. He never took the position that Bishop Andrew took. Before him was Archbishop Iswa Fontem, that he has succeeded. He's still living with him there in Bamenda. Iswa Fontem is still alive. He lives with him in Bamenda. When this crisis started, Iswa Fontem told the world, and Yaoundé in particular, there are two Cameroons. This thing you call Cameroon is divisible. These were his words. Because if there's any Cameroon, it is thanks to the will of these people we call Anglophone. They voted to join you. He too was an archbishop. He just retired. Therefore, he's older than Andrew. And so where is this guy taking his own cure? He's taking a political cure which is not religious. Therefore, he must have a political interest in what he's doing. Because politics is a game of interest. And as cited in that statement there, this is Archbishop Andrew, who goes to the Grand National Dialogue on the invitation of Yaoundé. And he gets there, it was a political dialogue, he wears his political cap, and goes to consult other guests invited by Yaoundé, notably Chief Mokete, who tells him how the people of the Northwest and the Southwest can live together. He agrees with that. No Ambazonian voted him to go there. He represented nobody other than the guests of Yaoundé. He goes there and then does this and accepts this truncated theory, which is a fabrication of Yaoundé since 1972. The idea of Northwest-Southwest came after 1972, created by Yaoundé, where they could not live together. But above all, Archbishop Andrew, he lives in Bamenda. He is from the Southwest. If you can carry the crown of the Archbishop of the 5 dioceses that I mentioned earlier, and live in Bamenda, if the Diocese of Mamfe, the Diocese of Kumba, the Diocese of Boya, or in the Southwest, who come to live with him, take orders from him from Bamenda, live with him as a church in the Northwest, what prevents the ordinary politicians living together? We expect him to say that he misspoke. They're just wrong. So he has a political agenda, which should not be used in this politically sensitive war that we are fighting. And to make things worse, as cited there, this is him saying that there's peace everywhere. People should go to school. He could do that. He could say that, even as an individual. He could even say that as a bishop. But he should say that there's peace, rightly or wrongly, in Bamenda, in his own diocese. Because when it comes to education, the Catholic Church runs schools. But the dioceses, the 5 I've named, Kumbo, Bamenda, Mamfe, Kumba, and Boya, these are the 5 dioceses that form the Archdiocese of Bamenda. Each of these dioceses owns schools. Each of them has an education secretary. They don't take orders from Bishop Andrew in Bamenda. The schools are created on individual application from Yaoundé. They run them. They have their own individual education secretaries. So you cannot pretend to issue that order from Bamenda in the name of the Catholic Church in the Northwest and Southwest. No, that's not possible. Because the Archbishop of Bamenda, the Bishop of Kumbo will not say that, knowing that the children who died in Garabo are children of his diocese. They were school children. The Bishop of Kumba will not say that, knowing that the children who died in St. Monica school in Kumba there, up in his hometown. He's a bishop who lives in Kumba. Knowing that the children were killed in Kwakwa and in his diocese. He will not say that. The Bishop of Manfe will not say that. Knowing that Okoyonda was closed down is in Manfe, that the children who left Kembang and ran away are in Manfe, that all his schools that were in Akwaya have been closed down because of this war. Because the children and their parents, those who have survived, have escaped to Nigeria. They become refugees. So the Bishop of Manfe will not say that. The Bishop of Boya will not say that. Knowing that the priests they kidnapped in Monyenge are of his own diocese. The priests that were kidnapped in Monyenge, the schools that were there have all been closed. They belong to the diocese of Manfe, of Boya. So why would this man be doing all this? Again, as I said, if at any time a cleric, be it a Catholic cleric, a pastor anywhere, decides to wear the political robe, let him or her be aware that we who are here, we're not going to spare him an inch of control over that type of nonsense. I'm also speaking, I'm a Catholic, full Catholic. This family we're talking about are Catholic families. We knew so much about Ngaribu because the bishop's house in Kumbo made a report and listed the children who were killed there. They listed even their classes, what school they were going to. And so this is just the right information that I've been saying. If I'm addressing this position of the government on school resumption, I think it is actually the proper thing to have done. And she sent a warning sign. If Bishop Andrew wants school to start in Bamenda, his archdiocese, you can go and start the school in Azere, knowing that the military has occupied the whole Azere provincial school. Let them go and start the school. Let them go and start the school. And leave Boya, leave Kumbo, leave Kumba, leave Manfe alone. Let those bishops speak for their own constituencies. Their religious constituencies are their dioceses. The archbishop does not have control over this. The archbishop's role is not to control the dioceses. They cooperate, they coordinate religious information, orders from the Vatican. For example, remember this thing of gay marriage, which came from the Vatican. They coordinated and gave a response. We don't want this thing here. That is his role. His role is not to jump into politics, create a constituency for himself, use the church in the name of an archbishop to sell it. I wonder what he thinks of today. When he says, send your children to school, don't be afraid. Today is the day for school. He was in Bamenda. I didn't even see him go out, step out to go to Sacred Heart to see if Sacred Heart was functioning. That's the school under his diocese. And so this is just wrong. It is wrong. I think this information sent out by the communication secretary is adequate. If people have ears to hear, they should hear. If these people have eyes to read, they can read. We would like all our children to go to school. In fact, nobody will become an archbishop, a bishop, or a priest until you go to school and learn all those things. School is important. We recognize that. They are all there in those capacities, even the Pope, because they went to school. But Andrew, all these other bishops and the rest would never have gone to school. We guns were flying over their heads. Their parents that controlled them when they were kids would not have sent them to those schools. Because for every child, the child has no choice. The choice is the parents. The parent, the father, the mother know that this is what is bad. What should Andrew and those who follow him talk about baby matter? What should he talk about baby matter? He was not a child. Who killed him? So again, this is a political issue, not a religious issue. So if the clerics are not properly armed and prepared to face the challenges politically, they should stay on their religious platforms. Teach your religion. If there's peace, go there and give your communion, preach it in there and walk away. They will not even open a school by themselves until Yaoundé authorizes them. The opening of a school is authorized by a political element, a minister in Yaoundé. It's not a religious thing. The Pope cannot come there and open a school until the political institutions in Yaoundé agree. So let them stop mixing politics with religion. But if you must talk politics with religion, we agree you have the right to, because you're a Cameroonian. Let us put it that way. But if you take that out, we'll fight with you on the political arena. At the end of the day, next Sunday I'll go to church and take your communion. like any other person. If you refuse to
I
give
don't
me
even know,
something,
without any form of disrespect, I don't know why anybody would take a communion from someone who is that dishonest. That's quite something. That's something sacred, and that's why we make those who don't believe in Jesus Christ to question a lot of things. If a man of God like Nkia, like Funky, would and is our main leaders in the churches, in their respective churches in the Cameroons, and you have them manifest so much dishonesty in the face of cruelty and genocide. It's really an unfortunate situation. Right after this break, we'll come back to conclude the program. Stay tuned.
There is a civil war ongoing in Cameroon. That civil war is between the southern Cameroon's people and the government of the Republic of Cameroon. These were two countries that United Nations, by their resolutions, tried to bring together to form a new country, the Federal Republic of the Cameroons, that La République du Cameroun decided to dissolve unilaterally, unconstitutionally, and rather preferred to annex the people of the southern Cameroons. And today, there is no longer any federal republic that was contemplated when the United Nations forced these two countries to come together. So, this is a failed decolonization that has resulted to the annexation of the people of the southern Cameroons. The UN has never looked into this matter like they have for other conflicts in Asia and Ukraine. No. For the 7 years that this conflict has lasted, 1.5 million people displaced, hundreds of thousands of refugees, more than 500 villages and settlements destroyed, burned to ashes, and more than 50,000 lives have been wasted. These are human beings. We are calling on the good people of Brazil and on the good people of the African diaspora to do everything possible to engineer a peaceful resolution to this bloody conflict. They can do that by engineering a proper mediation of this conflict or refer the matter to the International Court of Justice for arbitration so the two parties can present themselves for a peaceful resolution of this conflict. Thank you very much. I'm the president of the Southern Cameroons. My name is Samuel Sako. Thank you.
Our houses, businesses will not open, taxis, Benzike, nobody will work, schools will not open, parents should not send their kids to school.
It was rumored that the teachers' trade unions have received a bribe, and the consortium took this opportunity to clear the air.
Professor, what's his name again? Gogomo. I want to inform Anglophone Cameroon that Professor Gogomo was a teacher in GTHS Bamenda before he went back to school and got to become a professor, and that he has desecrated professorship, and that he would not address justice, he would not address issues of injustice, shows that he is doing everything to protect his position as a privileged slave in this country. By Monday, we will know whether Yaoundé controls Anglophone Cameroon or we control our country, because they are doling out huge sums of money that people won't be able to go to. The issues that we have raised are community issues, and everybody has an interest. That's why everybody is coming on board, putting their own contributions. After Monday, we will think of what else to do that would bring this government down on its knees, if by Monday we don't see them crawling and creeping.
They ended by calling on Anglophone Cameroonians.
By Monday, we will know whether Yaoundé controls the Southern Cameroons. I'm not quoting him word verbatim, but Ambazonians, as you will know it, and as it is, you must understand that the spirit moves on. It's oozing from every county, every local government area, from every corner of Ambazonia this day. And this time around, we will extend the ghost in every city right until next week, Tuesday. You have been advised that for no reason should you, for no reason, should you defy it, you will be making yourself a military target, and there is no need for that. The government is protecting you. You would have heard from the commanders. The government is protecting you from fraudsters, kidnappers. The government is also protecting you from stray bullet. I'm talking about a crossfire. The government believes that it is the right sacrifice and a timely one for us to take seriously. I hope to bring the panelists again tomorrow much earlier so we can have a conversation and further this conversation as we look on other things. I want to thank you, Barrister Team, and Barrister and Commander Elvis and Commander Fombat for creating the time to join us this evening with this special broadcast. An announcement I want to make: at 8 p.m. Ambazonia time, we'll be having a meeting with all stakeholders of ABC Amba TV, the patrons and the media warriors and the elite club members. For all those who are watching us, it's very important. October 1st is just a few days away. So much for us to accomplish, and we have the mandate to do this. We can do this. We have very serious discussions. We will be interacting, answering some questions, and strategizing together to make sure that these 3 weeks, as we lock down, we're not locking down for 3 weeks, don't misunderstand me, but as we lock down, we're going to have an effective, prosperous, and successful October 1st. Thank you for tuning in. Until tomorrow, it was Star Party King. Good night.
Good day, good day, good day, fellow Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians. Today na Sunday, September the 1st, 2024. This one Ambazonia National State Army spokesperson. I come this evening once more again today, Ambazonians. I come today with this my second communication for sending this message. We're gonna listen very carefully. I go first of all send to the one of us gun salute for all of our field masters, generals, commanders, and colonels who they fight so hard for defend Ambazonia from the hands of French Cameroon, barbaric and terrorist soldiers will be sent by Paul Biya, Hitler, Bill Vondo, Bartholomew, the terrorists, sponsored by France and some other criminal Western nations. Fellow Ambazonians, I come this evening after a serious emergency meeting. It don't take place where the Ambazonia State Defense Council hold a meeting this evening where we don't get intelligence from other sources concerning our struggle. This message while the person this night, the emergency alert for all Ambazonians. We come to tell Una, say the federal government through Ambazonia National Self Defense Council, we don't change the date for our lockdown. The national lockdown of Ambazonia for all the 13 counties and this is 4 AGs. Our ghost town now will carry on forward. Our ghost town will start on the 7th of September. It end on the 17th of September 2024. Why would they change this date? Now because most of our civilians, they don't reach we. So they don't be prepared for the ghost stand for start on the 2nd and the end on the 9th. I don't get intelligence from other sources for what will ever happen within these days. So we don't tell Ambazonians. I will send this message for una once more this evening as an emergency message. Why would they change the date for our lockdown? Our lockdown will start on the 7th of September. It end on the 17th of September 2024. So the previous date where we announced on this morning concerning the 2nd to the 9th, it will be cancelled. I repeat, the previous date where we announced for lockdown for take place national lockdown on the 7th to the 9th, it will be cancelled. We come out with a new date this evening after emergency meeting will be hosted by the Ambazonia State Defense Council, endorsed by the federal government. Our lockdown will take place on the 7th of September, ends on the 17th of September 2024. We're going to take special note because the life of Ambazonia, it matters. If we get a report like this, we come out very fast for giving the report because we monitor the situation of our struggle. I will call the United Nations, African Union. They must call for a peaceful negotiation between the both states. We must sit and negotiate as two equals. Fellow Ambazonians, we're going to take special note. We don't talk say any brigade for any county. If you call a lockdown, what a demand necessary. If that county, the security or whatsoever, it depends on the situation on the ground. So I say repeat, say Mountain Lions Brigade, they be call a lockdown where concerning Sako County. So we send a message, say the national lockdown will be announced by the federal government, endorsed by Ambazonia National State Defense Council. We don't change the date. Whether national lockdown, as I repeat, it will start on the 7th and on the 17th of September 2024. Me all Ambazonians, may they get prepared. They stock food, they buy their drugs, and may they be aware for these changes, for this lockdown. Sheshek Inode, we go make sure some Ambazonian State Army and they go leave no stone unturned. Make una stay safe, una stay strong. Nothing more, nothing less. Any man will go disrespect our lockdown, no mercy. Make una be at alert. Like anyone will disrespect our ghost town, our lockdown, it go collect. So I beg all Ambazonians, all taxi men, bus drivers, all businessmen, make Ambazonia go be shut down totally. No stone, and not go be left unturned. Make una stay safe, una stay strong. I go repeat again. We don't change the lockdown date. It go start on the 7th of September and on the 17th at 12 noon. So we're gonna be on high alert. The days ahead are deadly. Sheshek Inode, Boya, now final bus stop.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft. Draft, for in this paramount task, our draft lies the power to liberate Ambazonia.